Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world today. I hope you are absolutely amazing. Where to begin? Well, by the looks of it, it feels as if we are at a dominant trend directional change. Why I feel that way is because there's a switch both there and here. This looks like it wants to get beyond the midway line as well as it is over here. So it's a double confirmation on the oscillator on suggesting that we've got an uptrend happening here. All right, so that's just obviously one element of the strategy. Let's consult the rest of the options to see whether or not we've got a dominant trend directional change. Now, just before we get into the strategy, when I do my reverse GAN trick and I see that it doesn't make it into the reverse kill zone, that's also just a light indicator to me that there's going to be a trend directional change. All right, so that's the one element of it. The other element is how long, and I know this to be true because I got on over there, obviously went all the way down, how long it took for it to go in this direction. Okay, it felt like forever. Not only how long it took, but how shallow it was. There was a major area of consolidation, drift, consolidation area, drift, consolidation area, boom. And there was this big move up. So what this big move up here tells me when it does this in a rapid way is that there is a new turning point that's happening. I'm sure you guys have kept up to breast with that. Then as well as a kill zone story that's been formed by where it slowed down at. So normally there is the anchor point and then boom, the slowdown point, which is up here. And then that will tell us a story as to where the price is expected to go to next. All right, so that's just a little bit on some extra information. Let's get it back into the strategy. Just by the way, TradingView has been a bit dodgy with regards to these vertical lines. For some reason, it doesn't stick in the right place. So I don't know if the TradingView moderators watch my videos. I think they do because I got a boost from one of them just yesterday. So Zed Angus, if you're watching my videos, which it looks as if you are, then my recommendation is just to tell the team that we've got some weird stuff happening with this vertical line. So I'm going to try and lock it in and see if that makes any difference. Okay, so where are we from a market structure perspective? So let's get into MTOPS over here. All right, so turning point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is what we're looking at. 6 has got a good position because 7, 8, 9, 10 will form within this range, and that's very good. That's what we're looking for over here is correct market structure. So it definitely passes that. To get to the time forecast, what we'll need to do is break that down, build this up. I'm going to freehand it to my students. Please follow the process as, again, I've got a lot of experience with this. So this is quote unquote like nothing to me. But for you guys, I recommend operating from a place of precision until you've got the 10,000 hours, basically. I mean, it doesn't have to be that long behind you as I do. Now, it's pretty interesting how the duration of that length has formed such a neat looking kill zone story over here. So there's the one option, right? I think it's the option I'm going to go with for now because why I feel that way is that all this price needs to do really is break this high. Okay, so that's what's happening more or less in this environment. From a time forecast perspective, as promised. Happy Friday, everyone, by the way. I think where this arrow is pointing to, wow, it's suggesting that we're going to have quite a vigorous run to the upside for some reason. I don't actually try and rationalize with the market because it often surprises me. So I try not think that things are impossible or unlikely. I'd rather listen to what it's trying to say. But just from first glance, it suggests that we're going to have some move along this 1/2 line over here, which my mouse is going up and down on. So we'll see if that's true or not. Should that be the case, then what we do is put down our time forecasting block out. So anything inside this green area is not necessarily going to be a turning point. And then anything inside this area is not going to be a turning point either. So we've spoken about the oscillator. Now, jumping onto price projection is what I was talking about over here. So as we know, with this higher low, okay, and over here was a kind of an indicator there was a higher high as well. With this higher low, pardon me, we're going to see price try break the recent high. That's what trend is, higher lows and higher highs. So with that said, I'm going to immediately block out any area that's below the recent high, giving us this area of probability. So we've used the blocks to block out areas of lowest probability for where the next turning point is going to happen, to leave us with an area of high probability. Now, as the price action goes, I might be able to extend it just to adjust accordingly to market conditions. But until then, I don't really need to do so because I know that we are quite late in the cycle. We've got a turning point 7, an 8, a 9, and potentially 10 out there to form. So I'm just going to keep it relatively conservative for now and then build on that as we go. So what does that mean to me? Well, I'm going to go immediately. Well, yeah, I'm going to go immediately because I see a switcher here on the oscillator. It looks pretty convincing. This was a short turn. So if we just count our turning points to make sure we got a healthy looking cycle, turning point 1, 2, 3, 4, late 5, 6, 7, late because of the 5, 8, somewhere in the middle, 9, 10 looks about right. And the oscillator does support that. The only difference that might occur is that 8, 9 isn't done. However, the way that this price action has come down doesn't allude to that because of the structure in which price travels, right? So this is more linear than it is in a curved manner, which suggests to me that we're at a turning point. This is 8, a 9 question mark. I'm going with 9 until proven otherwise, and then 10 over here, which means it's going to be quite a long move to 1 over here somewhere, so that's obviously in the new cycle. And here those cycle lines are crawling across. Let me try and lock that down. So that's the reasoning for this current market structure setup. Now, as price action develops, there is more clarity that gets provided as it develops as well. So I'm going to go with this until proven otherwise, and then make the adjustments if necessary. Just notice that even though I do feel I've got the Holy Grail, I operate it with respect. Okay, I don't pig-headedly just put stuff down and just for the sake of my ego, look at that beautiful connection up there. For the sake of my ego, just suggest that that's going to be the case just because that's what looks good. I do so in respect and in relationship with the market, allowing it to tell me its story, and I work alongside it. And that's what the market wants from traders, those who respect it and understand it, right? So let's go through the process over here again. For those who are watching this for the first time, I've got a strategy that works on all time frames in exactly the same way. And that's how I know this works. It's because there's no special conditions. There's no, well, there is, okay, there's double tops, there's symmetrical triangle. That's basically it. But that, I guess, applies to all the time frames. So there's no special conditions. It works exactly the same. And that makes me just love the planet that we live on and the reality that we live in, because for that to be true, there's just some divine intelligence behind it. Okay. And with that said, notice how I allowed this to be the arc that the price sits at, the resistance over there, whereas over here is where the kill zone story was trying to form itself. All right, so that move up has comfortably sat right here on this red line, on this red curve rather, and from here we progress. So running from the top again, exactly the same checklist as I did over here, because it works on all the time frames in exactly the same way. Market structure suggests that turning point 10 is in, which means that the next turning point would happen in the new cycle. I'm going to keep this going until proven otherwise. But again, if you don't act on anything because you're always waiting for things, just for the sake of being cautious, then you'll never really be in the game to profit from it. So I just go on my initial instinct and my initial findings and go with that until proven otherwise. But at least I'm going with something, because being on the field is where you make a profit. Sitting on the sidelines, not really the case. All right, so let's set this down over here and then allow it to progress up the different travel lines. Okay, so again, it seems like this is the area in which the next turning point wants to happen on this time frame. So for that to be true, then what we would see is something along the lines of it move up, take a breather, perhaps travel down a little, maybe to there. I don't like to be too precise because the market isn't always precise. It sometimes is a bit jagged or jaded, and maybe somewhere to like here is a potential of where price will end up next. Okay, so what does that mean to my trade chart? Well, I've got confirmation of a trend directional change. We've got confirmation on the higher frame that there's a high potential for trend directional change. So what I'm going to do to my trade platform is open up a trade. Oh, let's see, there's some price moving up. I want to catch that so that we can catch this move up. Now, in all fairness to myself, I haven't thoroughly gone through the FTMO rules as to whether or not in this day and age we're allowed to keep trades open over the weekend. I think with Bitcoin there might be special conditions that you can, but I don't want to open up a position on my trading account that has consequence. So I'm in a challenge at the moment. I don't want to open up a trade there just in case there is some fine print that doesn't allow for that to happen. So what I'm going to do here is open up my custom indicator that a community member and myself developed specifically for our needs, and then set the turning point stop loss, as well as automate the target once it's being put down. So I think this is quite exaggerated in terms of how much price action we're seeing at one point, but that's okay. We don't use this to chart. For anyone who's watched videos this week, this is a reminder: charting and trading are two different skill sets. They're two different disciplines. We don't chart inside here. We chart on TradingView, that's a speciality, and we trade inside exchanges. That's their speciality. So make sure that you don't get the two muddied up. All right, so I'm just going to drag and drop the stop loss line to behind the recent turning point. Over here, it says price to go upwards. So that's my confirmation that we have got the stop loss in the right direction. And then if I do this, you'll see the target up there. And then go through to my target box. This is where I can choose a 0.5% target. Risk reward ratio, you can see over here, it's 0.5. So for every $10 I put in, I expect $5 back. Moderate, according to the settings that we've designed here, for every $10 we put in, we get $10 back. All right, so basically doubling our money. And then max is 1.5 times the amount we put in. So if we put in $10, we would get $15 back on top of the $10 that we put in initially. Okay, so this is what this tool is so strong at doing. It does all the math for us, and it sets the thresholds in all the right places. So there's very little manual work. Okay, let the tool do the work. We live in an age of automation and AI now, I suppose. So let the machines do what they're good at and do machine stuff. All right, I don't want to be sitting close with like squint eyes at 2 a.m, opening up a position I've been waiting to happen, and fumbling with the stop loss number and trying to manually calculate where the correct turning point, the correct take profit threshold would be, and so on, and also allocated risk. All of that stuff is done for us and for those who have joined MTOPS as well. Okay, comes with the course of, as well as the custom indicator and access to private community members and all of that sort of stuff. Tons of resources, but obviously the core of it is how to forecast the future of price action, as well as how to act with that information from the trading element, the trade realm. And I think very few other places offer all of that and done so in a responsible way. All right, so there's my little shameless self-promotion skit. If you're not a part of the team as yet, join MTOPS and you'll have access to all of this yourself. Okay, so yeah, I opened up a 1% of account, which was at $200,000 at the time. I closed it at the threshold, so it got in over here, closed off over there, so just caught the turning point, which is fantastic. And that 1% of account brought back $3,000 profit. So let me just go to the history. There are two stop losses there, but I can explain that. Time, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So this green one says take profit hits. All right. So that's where the $3,000 came in. And then I've got two stop losses hit here as well. And that's because I went down to the 1 minute chart. And for that reason, the reason I did that and why I put $10 in is because obviously $10 means nothing in the bigger scheme of things. And I'm coding a oscillator which works alongside our open trades, and that's been pretty frustrating, and a lot of time, effort, and energy went into that yesterday. But I want to work on that so that the trades don't need to be closed by us. It either closes at take profit, which means we'll probably double our money or 1.5x our money. That's wrong, right? Double our money plus half on top of that, whatever that correct terminology is, 150%, I suppose. And then, or if the market comes up short or it stops early, then the trade will close in relation to the MTOPS customized oscillator that we've built for our students. All right. So that's pretty much what I've been working on. And the reason I'm telling you that is to explain the embarrassing red of my history. But to be fair, it was only $20 lost after $3,000 taking. So $3,000 profit. I'm up from the $200,000 that was provided to me. Now going over to my account for those who are interested. So server says demo, so this is a demo account. And then we see server over here, it's a real account. Something I want to talk to is kind of that frustration of being very conservative. So what I mean by that is with the demo account, I opened up my trade up here because it's a bit more risky, and I was like, who cares? It's a demo account sort of thing. And once I saw the dominant trend directional move that was happening, and I opened up a position more conservatively down here, and then closed it over here just before this big run over there. I was expecting it to maybe go down a little bit more, but when I saw the formation of this wick and how the compilation of these candles came together, that plus the MTOP strategy gave me the idea that I was going to go in that direction. So I could have closed for $450, but I closed for I think $234. Not a massive win on the books, but profit is profit, right? And everything adds up. So yeah, I just got to do this more frequently, and all of that money comes to me in a profit share perspective, 90-10 with the liquidity pool holders of FTMO. And if you're looking to learn more about that, join MTOPS and I'll tell you all about it. See you next week, guys.